Welcome, everyone, to the Essential Spirituality channel, where we deal with all things spiritual, religious, sometimes even mystical, and today, even financial. A lot of folks today are interested in concepts like minimalism and frugality, sort of different from and moved away from the cycle of consumption that all of us seem to be caught up in. This is very important and it's very useful. God knows we all need this. But how might spirituality be related to something like frugal living and minimalist lifestyles? Well, that's the question that we explore in today's video. If you want to know the answers, and we look at the answers by examining the lifestyles of some of the most frugal and successful communities globally. But before we do this, please go ahead and like our videos and subscribe to our channel. Thank you, and let's begin. So I want to begin today's video with a question. Which ethnic groups and cultures do you think are known for their frugality and high savings rates? The answers might surprise you. In the United States, for example, Asian Americans, especially Chinese and Indian groups, top this list. Why is this the case? Well, historical factors like colonial exploitation and the resultant poverty and perhaps a scarcity mindset that followed may play a role, but there's more to this than meets the eye. To understand the reasons why Indians and Chinese folks, for example, are so given to frugality, we turn to the work of Geert Hofstede, who came up with a theory based on cultures. It's called the cultural dimensions theory. And Hofstede suggests that all cultures can be understood and even scored on the basis of 6 main dimensions. These are universal, such as power distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. The latter two are specifically of relevance to our video. Long-term orientation, for example, measures a culture's perspective on life itself, whether it focuses on short-term gains or long-term goals. Indulgence reflects the ability of a culture to resist instant gratification. Interestingly, both India and China score significantly higher on these elements than Western nations. It only makes sense, of course, that those who have longer term orientations and higher self control will wind up having more savings and, in general, also be richer. Now, the question is, why do they exhibit more self-control and long-term orientation? Is there anything that all of us can take away from these ethnicities and cultures? Well, to really understand this, we need to look deep, and I mean really deep, like spiritual deep. Why? Well, to some extent at least, it boils down to cultural values. And in the West, especially over the last 200 years, we have embraced the idea of work hard and play hard. Basically, the perspective is work, 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 and then bye, bye, bye. What a very famous sociologist, Max Weber, called the spirit of capitalism. In fact, he wrote a book called The Protestant Work Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, in which he elucidated on this concept. Unfortunately, this can often mean saying bye 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 to one's wealth and even health, especially in the latter part of one's life. Asians, on the other hand, including Indians, derive their values from spiritual traditions that emphasize self-control and the very temporary nature of this life. The idea is for them to consume as little as possible and spend every moment available to understanding the transcendent aspects of life. Ancient Indians, for example, divided a lifespan of 100 years into 4 equal stages called ashrams. The first stage was brahmacharya, or celibacy, and the student's life. The second stage is that of grihastha, or the householder's life. The third is that of forest dwellers, and finally that of sannyas, or that of a renunciate. Now this may seem strange, but even today, Indians idealize and even idolize these qualities. Both renunciation and celibacy, for example, are celebrated in their leadership. Some of the most popular leaders from India in the last 100 years have embodied this, including none other than Mahatma Gandhi. Legend has it that when one of their prime ministers died suddenly in the 60s, he left behind literally nothing for his family. He was that austere. Other famous examples include that of great kings like Chandragupta Maurya, who left his massive empire to his son and simply walked away into the forests of South India after a particular time and age. And of course, the Buddha, who gave up everything for enlightenment. These are still today the cultural heroes of Indian society. We think that these ancient values, kept alive even today, serve as the backbone of Asian success and frugality. And science seems to corroborate this. The marshmallow test, for example, tells us that self control is a far better predictor of success than even IQ. So, how can we incorporate these lessons to lead a more frugal and minimal lifestyle and achieve financial success as well? Well, first, we have to learn self control. We have to find one area in our life where we really want to cut back. And this is important. Focus on just one and start working on it. This is super important because it tends to have a ripple effect. For more information, see Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. Second, try bootstrapping. What bootstrapping essentially means is we try to make do with what we have, what little we have. So can we make do, for example, with an older laptop by using open source software instead of buying a brand new one? Remember, open source software is very resource minimal, and you can try this hack. Try, for example, downloading the Ubuntu OS on an older laptop and give it to your kids. It works brilliantly. Again, start with small steps and changes. Taking on too much at once can be very overwhelming, and it won't likely work. And for more information on this, see James Clear's Atomic Habits. It's a great book, another great book for you to refer to. Third, practice daily consistency. Consistency is the key here. Fourth, surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Find a supportive community that appreciates what you're trying to do. And finally, allocate time daily for contemplation and spiritual practice. Reflect and meditate. This is the best way to get self-control. Contemplate on the temporary nature of things and life itself. Truly, how much, what, and who is really important? Answer these questions. The answers might surprise you. This is truly the secret sauce, actually, when it comes to successful frugality. Being aware that every material thing is temporary. After all, the most spiritual greats have managed with very little. From the lives of the Buddha to Jesus Christ to the Prophet Muhammad, we can see that frugality was very, very common in all of these lives. So there you have it. Why are Asian Americans successful? Well, it boils down to a spiritual core. It all goes back to their deep spiritual values. So, if there's only one thing that you could do to become more frugal, we recommend daily contemplation on the meaning and temporary nature of life itself. We hope this video has been useful to you. If you have questions and thoughts and comments, please put them down in the section below, or get in touch with us at www.essentialspirituality.org. And for links on the information that we gave you, such as the books or on Ubuntu software, please look into the description and you'll find all of those links listed there for your convenience.